Hey everyone, today we're going to do an assault battle, secrets and shadows. So let's jump into it. So let's talk about the team that I used first and their relics. So this is the team. I used Mother Talzin lead with Old Daka, Night Sister Zombie, Marin, and Talia. So you can see I do have 2 zetas on Mother Talzin, 1 on Old Daka, and 1 on Marin. So I have Shadow Stride. Shadow Stride is important for this assault battle. Also, the leadership for Mother Talzin is going to be important as well. Plague Bear is nice, so if you have that, that's also good, but not a must-have. But every little bit does help with this. Old Daka's lead, or Old Daka's Zeta, is very important. The stacking isn't amazing, but it can help with the survivability. I think it maybe could be done without it, but you do want Old Daka as survivable as possible. But as the phases changes, her health doesn't stack, so it goes back to normal. So maybe not as important, but let's talk about the modding here and the strategy. So for Mother Talzin, pretty much for all these characters, I have them modded for health mainly. A little bit of potency here and decent speed, so I was still able to get 124 extra speed on her with full health sets, so all health right here. For Old Daka, I go for survivability, and honestly, let's look. Daka is the most important character here because she has to survive. She's the one who can survive the big hit in phase 4, so Old Daka is going to be the pivotal character here. The big difference is at relic 5 you can't really afford a crit avoidance arrow. You just cannot do it because her health isn't high enough, and I still was struggling for her to survive with all health sets, so I threw on a defensive set as well. So as you can see, I have a defensive set and 2 health sets. Her health is 126k, her speed is 283, and her armor is 57.7 with 14.1% armor. So that armor was pretty key here in having her be survivable, as well as having a big enough health pool that you can survive that big Sidious hit, because that's going to be the big deciding factor. Once you survive that, and RNG plays the factor of you getting what you need to push through that phase. Also, if you're playing like round after round after round and your Old Daka isn't surviving, I would look at the mods. If your Old Daka is surviving and the RNG just isn't there, you just have to keep playing it until things kind of like line up for you. Night Sister Zombie, I have all health sets for her, and here's the stats. Health mainly, a little bit of armor. I do like some speed on her so that she can take some turns, but as you can see, like all health primaries here. For Marin, I have her modded, probably not ideal. I would rather have like a bunch of health here, and she's only relic 3, but I have mine mainly modded for potency and tenacity and a little bit of protection with a crit avoidance arrow, because that's just how I have her modded normally. I didn't remod Marin. So you can keep her how you would mod her normally, or you can keep her mod her for survivability. It's up to you. I just think as much potency as you can. Talia's modding didn't matter too much, so I went with all health. She has decent speed and a little bit of armor here, so she does have the health primaries. So that's the team and their modding. So a lot of health mods, a lot of survivability, but honestly the most important one is just going to be Daka, like getting Daka to be able to survive that hit. And at relic 5 I was only able to do that, like I said, with a defensive set and 2 health sets and no crit avoidance arrow, and you just kind of have to hope RNG is in your favor. And before I jump into this, I do want to say that I did have to play this. I don't know, it was like this time like 15 times. The first time I did this, it took me forever just to figure out the modding of how to get old Daka survivable. After that, once you have the recipe where you can get your Daka to be able to survive that big hit, then you just got to keep playing it for that RNG factor. So as long as you're surviving, even with just like a little bit of health, that's where Talia comes in, heals, old Daka brings the whole team back. It just all kind of flows. So that's what you're looking for. All right, so let's look at the battle itself. We'll up the speed here to 2 times so it doesn't take as long, and let's see what happens. So in the beginning, I do the zombie's just gonna die, and that's gonna trigger your Marin's turn. There I use first special to spread plague. The big thing with the plague here is once you start getting them going, then they're just gonna run a bunch of plague, and they're gonna like pass plague to each other, as you can see. One big thing to see is like if someone has less plague and you can hit them, then you can do that. But as you can see, once you have about like 3 stacks on everyone, then they all pretty much start like spreading that plague, and they all just die. So it works out really, really well. All right, let's zoom through this. So I had to, I didn't check this, so I had to take a quick break during that one, but I just sped it up a little bit. But pretty much right here, we're just gonna use our basics. All right, so this phase, the first and second phase, you're just using your abilities as fast as you can pretty much get them, except for Talia. Talia, you never want to use any of her specials. You will only basic. And at this phase, if you do end with a Mother Talzin's first special near the end, I don't like to use that. I just like to use basics for her in particular, because the next phase you want to use Mother Talzin's first special, and that starts the plague from spreading. And then from there you just kind of use all the basics, because you want to save all your special abilities for the 4th phase. So as you can see here, I'm not going to use Marin's specials. I'm not going to use anyone's specials pretty much, except for Mother Talzin's first special right there. And as you can see, that put a lot of plague out there. And from there, they're just going to spread plague and die. I'm basicking that B1 battle droid, so because it was running out of stats. And as you can see, then it's just going to die. All right, so let's come back here and we'll slow this down a little bit. We'll put it on normal speed, just because I do want to focus on this point right here, because it's pretty important on the RNG factor. So you do want your Daka to be full health and protection. You want everyone to have their specials accessible, except for Mother Talzin's first special. And then you want them to have plague just kind of run through them. You don't want to basic into Dooku, because he's going to counterattack. And as you can see, Zombie's taunt usually falls off because she dies, and then the team's open to being hit. If you notice, I didn't get any deaths. The deaths, I've seen some guides that are like, hey, bring Talia to full health or full turn meter and have her die. For this strategy, it's not that important. You just have to have decent RNG. All right, so let's go into this. And as you can see, he's going to use his big hit. Daka survived, so we're going to bring everyone back. We're going to heal up Daka right there. We're going to mass assist into Darth Sidious here, and then we're going to go into first special. And that's why I said we have to have all our specials ready, because then boom, we're going to put a bunch of plague and he dies. And from there, it's just all downhill. So the big thing for this next phase, though, is you do want to take out Death Trooper as fast as possible. And honestly, your team kind of runs out of steam a little bit right here, so it's a little bit of a risk, because you're stuck behind taunt, and then your team members can die. So it's possible to lose this. And as you can see, my team isn't full health. Daka's like dying there, so a little bit of a risk here. And I think maybe even Daka does die somewhere. I really don't remember. But you don't want both Daka and Marin to die, because then you're dead in the water and you have to worry about basics, and they'll probably just die. So you do have to keep both of them alive. So at this point, you're just kind of using your specials as much as you can for phase 6. There's really nothing special for this phase. They do just die, and you just want to keep your team as healthy as possible. Going into phase 7, which phase 7 can be a little annoying, just because Kylo Ren does not take health percent damage. So you have to kill all the sides pretty much, and then you're going to kill Kylo Ren. So for this phase, I did have someone die, and then I left her dead for a little while. I did end up bringing her back because, as you saw, like Daka was very, very low health there, and Marin was dead. So that was a little bit of a, like, you don't want Marin to be the one dead, and then if your Daka dies, then you're pretty much dead in the water. You just have to probably restart or get lucky on a basic here. But luckily with Zombie, my Zombie's fast enough where she can pretty much keep Taunt up and keep her 2 stacks every time she dies. And then I think I'm slowly trying to work through him. I'm trying to save my specials as well for the next phase. So I'm just basicking him. You can use specials if you want to. The next phase isn't super crazy. I just wanted to make sure that there was no issues. So I just go until someone dies who wasn't Daka or Marin, and then I keep her dead so that I can keep getting those assists, get more plagues out there, which gives me more healing, and then he dies to a basic because he doesn't have that plague damage, so he would die to that basic. All right, so as you can see here, I'm just using all my specials to try to kill them as fast as possible. He has a huge health pool, and he just dies from the health, from all that plague that spread. It really doesn't take that many stacks to run through this team, and it's just a wash from there. So the big thing is, at the end, Nihilus is going to kill your zombie, and then you just use your specials as much as you can to spread plagues, and the team folds over. So it seems like a difficult fight, and that's because it is a difficult fight. You just have to, the modding needs to be correct. I think Daka needs to be R5 minimum. I've seen a lot of people do it at R7, and that makes it a lot easier because you can afford to put that crit avoidance arrow. But if you follow the modding that I did with mine and try to hit the similar benchmarks, I don't think the speed is all that important for these characters. The biggest thing is survivability and just getting spreading that plague, getting decent RNG, and just having Daka survive that phase. So that's pretty much how it happened for me. This is the second time I did this. The first time I did it last month. I didn't record it, so this time I was able to record it. So let me know in the comments if this helped you. If you can't replicate it because you've tried a million times, I'm sure I'm going to get that comment where people are saying that, you know, my guide is trash and it's just not working for them. But all I can say is if you try enough and you have the stats and the survivability that Daka has, and you have all the investment into this team, then you should be able to do this even with like relic 3 to 5 Night Sisters. And it took me about like 30 minutes to get it done. So best of luck everyone, and I'll see you next time. Take care.